There's a feature of shoes which isn't often talked about, but in my opinion, it's one of the most important things for natural foot function, and that is the toe spring of the shoe. So for me as a designer, there's two main areas I look at with regards to toe spring, and it's easiest to show this on a conventional shoe like this. So first of all, you can see this upwards angle here. So basically that's pushing your toes into an unnaturally extended position. And if you're wearing a shoe with a raised cushioned heel, that's exaggerated because your heel is high, the ball of your foot is low, and then your toes are pushed upwards at the front. So that's pushing your foot into a less natural position. Secondly, you'll often see that when a shoe is flat on the ground, the front of it curves upwards here, and that's because the sole tapers and becomes thinner from around the ball of the foot forwards. So you'll see this very clearly on a conventional shoe like this, but you'll also often see it on barefoot fit shoes, which have a lot of cushioning. And the reason is that soles, when they're quite thick, are often quite stiff. And these features allow you to roll off the front of the shoe through your gait cycle more easily, however, without the proper natural foot function that is involved in your toes extending during toe off. So this was the biggest challenge for our endurance mode, the most cushioned model we have, because obviously there's more soles. So how do we manage to have that balance between having a little bit more cushioning but also allowing natural foot function? So I'm going to show you a few features we have which allow this all to work. So firstly, you'll see that the sole is zero drop. So the height between the heel here and the ball of the foot is the same, so it's flat. Also, that remains flat between the ball of the foot and the toe. So your toes are in a naturally neutral position and they're flat. Also, you can see that the sole remains fairly thick until the front. So rather than tapering upwards, you still have the same level of thickness until right near the front. So that means your toes can actually engage with the ground and actually stay planted as you go through the gait cycle. But to achieve this whilst having a little bit extra cushioning, we had to make some changes inside the sole. So this is the midsole, and you can see that there's this array of slots and grooves which allow the sole to flex really nicely and also twist, so that whilst maintaining a little bit of cushioning, you still get that natural foot functioning. And you can see here on the final shoe how that allows your toes to engage with the ground and also move as you go through the gait cycle. So it's really cool, but also it's something that's quite interesting because it's not just about long-term foot function. It's something you can actually observe immediately. So if you're standing barefoot or with shoes, try and press your toes into the ground. Can you feel the ground? So if you're wearing a shoe with a toe spring, you probably can't. Your toes are probably floating off the ground. They're not engaging and they're not contributing to your balance, and therefore they're not functioning properly. If you're wearing very thin barefoot style shoes, you'll probably be able to feel the ground. And if you're barefoot, you'll definitely be able to feel the ground. So do that now and see what you think. So a lot of shoes may feel smooth to walk in, but they might be doing a lot of the work for you. So if you want your feet to be doing the work, start thinking about toe spring.